Give him the clips.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That was almost a Die Hard thing, right?
What?
Yeah.
Well, I don't. What do we?
I don't know.
I was doing give him the clamps.
We'll go down to the coast. Give him some clamps.
What?
No, that's not what.
Anyway.
Let's have a few laughs. It's not even close to give them the claps.
Give him the clamps. Yeah. I don't know. You know.
What are you even talking about?
That summarizes the entire podcast, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah. All right.
I love that Ethan was doing his Kilroy impression there just for a second.
Chewing on my nails.
No, you just all we could see was from here up.
Oh yeah.
Oh. And he was chewing on his nails.
Kilroy was here.
Still got
I
it.
got you.
Okay. Hello and welcome to episode 580 of the Player One Podcast for Tuesday, December 19th, 2017. I'm your host, Chris Johnston. With me as always, but not hosting this week, direct from Christmas land, the North Pole / Canada, Mr. Greg Seward.
It's cold enough to be the North Pole up here. I'm wearing 2 pairs of socks.
Really?
It's cold.
Oh,
I'm seeing
Damn.
double here. 4 socks.
and joining me from the great state of Washington, Mr. Phil Theobald.
What's up, Porg Munchers? How you been?
We're just getting that out there right away, are we?
Munching
Yeah.
some porg, are you?
Yeah. No
Now you-
Star Wars spoilers. I
Now you-
didn't see the movie. I haven't seen it. So
half
no-
of
no
this
spoilers.
half of this cast has not seen the Star Wars yet.
That's right.
I can't.
I don't know.
can't
I'm
say.
not sure when I'm going to see it.
Really.
I don't have tickets purchased or anything like that. So
See it when
I
it comes
have-
out on home video.
potentially.
I have my tickets purchased for this Tuesday. So by the time most people are listening to the show, I will have seen it. But right now, I am trying to avoid spoilers at all costs.
Want me to tell you who
You
dies?
came to the wrong place, my friend.
I can tell you who dies. I can tell you who lives and who dies.
Don't do it. Don't. Just don't. No. Joining us from the great state of California, Mr. Ethan Einhorn.
Hey there. Yep. And unlike Seward, who's freezing his butt off, I took my jog this morning in shorts and a t-shirt. San Francisco is pretty cool.
Or not cool,
Right.
as it were.
Right.
Ha 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 ha.
Mhm.
Yeah. So how you guys doing?
Cold.
Good.
Fine.
Yeah. You ready for the holidays?
Mostly.
Mostly?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. We're gonna
It's
be
already
doing our
kicked in over here.
year-end-
The whole family's home.
Oh, really? Oh, damn. We're gonna be doing our year-end episode, so I hope you guys have your lists all
My
Put together-
DLTY.
of your goatees.
Goatee list.
Yeah.
I just that reminds me. I just picked up a game that I need to play
Uh-huh.
in preparation as a potential candidate.
Okay.
I picked up the Night in the Woods.
Oh, okay.
Because Night in the Woods got
heard
an
good things.
update. The other week.
What is Night in the Woods? I
Night in
don't
the
really
Woods
know
is that kind of adventure-y game with
Animals.
the,
It's the game with the animals.
The kind of fox thing, you know.
What does he say?
Just look at just do a
It's
Google
that
search. You have a computer. I know you have a computer right in front of you. Just type in Night in the Woods.
But if you type in the keyboard, you'll be like Phil, who I have to edit
Yeah.
the keyboard noises. I can
Doing it
hear
right
you
now.
typing.
I'm typing
Phil,
right
Phil
now
has
just
his microphone mounted on the keyboard.
That's
for fun.
that's right.
Makes it easier for me to access that way.
Uh-huh.
It's
Yeah.
that one game that I'm waiting to play on Switch.
Oh, for crying out
Oh
loud.
God,
So stupid.
can't take much more of this.
Well,
I'd really like to play that new
Speaking-
Uncharted game, but I'm waiting for it to hit the Switch.
It's the perfect genre.
That would be tough. That would be a tough. Wait.
Crackdown 3 seems like it's going to be exciting, but I think I can hold off till it hits the Switch.
Wow.
Okay,
Damn.
My new
Well,
character,
it's
Switch
been an
loving-
aggressive opening of the show.
speaking of the Switch,
What?
because we don't talk about it enough on the show.
Yeah, good. Thank God. we can talk about Switch.
they hit 10 million units sold.
Sold through or
Yeah.
sold to?
And
retail?
that's just to the Einhorn household.
Womp, womp.
I don't think they said sold in or
Prob-
sold
probably
through,
sold in. So,
but
not
sold
that
10
that's
million
any
units
less
worldwide
impressive. That's impressive.
in 9
Yeah.
months. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Better than the Wii U, I heard.
And without a holiday season under its belt, so
Mm.
you know,
Better than the Virtual Boy.
Yep.
definitely better than the Virtual Boy. That is,
You know what I got under my belt?
I don't think I want to know.
My
Pants?
pants. My pants.
Oh,
That's where the
Pants
belt
go
goes.
under the belt goes over the pants.
are you sure?
CJ
Yeah,
wearing
is
the
that how
wrong.
it goes? You're wearing
Put
your
the belt
pants
on
inside
first.
out. CJ,
Damn, all these
What are the-
years.
What the hell are these loops for?
the loops go on the outside, buddy.
Those are my finger holes.
That's where you put your yeah. Mm-hmm.
I got a long, skinny
thumbs.
wiener that I wrap around
Jesus.
inside.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
La, 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 la,
So you
la,
put your,
la, la,
suspenders.
la, la, la.
Ding, president.
Hey, that is not as bad as playing ukulele and seeing that one of the characters, who's a snake,
All right.
is named Trousers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You could have
Yeah,
stopped it.
trouser
That is,
snake.
you could have stopped it. Just that is not as bad as playing ukulele.
Yeah.
Wow. Just wow.
You know, grabbed by the ghoulies.
Mm,
Uh-huh.
Ghoulies means testicles.
really?
Yeah.
That's
That's the thing.
that's British slang.
That's British for testicle.
Yeah.
Clearly Rare was emboldened by Insomniacs going
Biggin.
commando.
Yeah.
Ratchet and Clank. They decided to take it up a notch. Let's just call it Grabbed by the Ghoulies.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway,
Yeah.
10 million units. Hey Phil, you missed
Ye-
the show last week when we were
I
talking.
know it was nice.
So
Oh yeah, Mega Man
about
11.
Mega Man 11. What do
What
you
about
think?
What do you want me to say?
What do you think about the announcement?
I think it's
The trailer
terrible.
was awesome.
I think they should stop making Mega Man games.
Mighty Number Mega Man 11.
No, I think it. I think it looks okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. It's a Mega Man game. I'm excited about it.
You'll
I
play
think
it.
it looks. I think
Would
it
you-
looks better than Mighty Number 9, which that's
That's like saying the
That's
Switch is
a
selling
low-
better than the Wii U. But yeah,
a,
go
lo-
ahead.
a low bar, but
Sure.
Would you be more or less excited about it if it looked like 9 and 10?
First of all, it's more or fewer excited. I think. I think it was probably a good idea for them to shy away from the
Yeah.
8-bit style. I think it was fantastic for 9,
Yes.
and it was cute for 10.
Yes.
But if they did it for 11, it'd be just like, yeah, come on,
And
guys.
can I go a step further and say,
Yeah.
please God, don't do the crappy. Hey, look, this is the crappy box art, just like the first game.
Yeah,
That needs to stop too.
yeah.
It's not funny
that joke
anymore.
has gotten a little old
Yeah.
as well. Yeah, no,
It's
I
just
dig
not funny
that.
anymore.
I dig that.
Yeah.
No, I think that was the right way. Ideally, it would have been nice to see 2D pixel sprites in like a 16-bit style
Mhm.
or a 32-bit style, but that the look that it has now is not terrible. So,
Yeah, it would have been cool to see kind of how say Way Forward would have handled it.
yeah,
Uh,
That
Yeah.
would be amazing. But it still looks good.
but I'm super excited for it. I'm obviously going to buy it. I will repurchase the Legacy collections when they hit the Switch. I will obviously buy the X collection because there's like 4 good X games.
okay.
Yep.
So you're
First
getting
X is one of my favorite Mega Man games.
the first X is outstanding, and X 1 through 4 are all really good, solid games. It's X5 where it starts to dip into the kind of this isn't that great territory until it really just gets really bad. But
Okay.
yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm
All right.
excited.
Listen to him.
I'm excited. Can't you hear the tone in my voice?
Hear the intonation? Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
All right.
I'm reserving judgment on 11, but I'm really hoping it's going to be great.
Cool. It looks good.
It does. No, it looks nice.
Speaking of Capcom, they announced at their tournament, the last day of PlayStation Experience, that they're doing a Street Fighter 30th anniversary collection.
Buy that game.
12 games.
Mm-hmm.
Is coming for PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch.
Yes.
Includes the original Street Fighter, Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition, Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting, Super Street Fighter 2, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Street Fighter Alpha 2, Street Fighter Alpha 3, Street Fighter 3, Street Fighter 3 Second Impact, and Street Fighter 3 Third Strike.
Yes.
And I believe 4 of them are fully online on top of that.
Yes.
That is correct.
Worth it just for Super Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter Alpha 2.
Worth it for all of them. Apparently, they're going to be
all great, but
perfect. Yeah, I mean, the guys at Other Ocean are perfectionists when it comes to this. They want to make sure that every pixel in place. It's going to be great.
Yeah, which explains the sound issues that were in the Mega Man Legacy game. But
it can't be perfect. You expect perfection? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I guess it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, the first Legacy collection was Other Ocean.
Right.
The second one was just Capcom. But
this one's going to have, of course, online play in those 4 games, which I'm going to stay away from completely.
What is it? It's 2 of the Street Fighter 2s.
Yes. Hyper Fighting and Super.
Is it
And
Super
Turbo?
Super
Turbo.
Yeah, Super
Boy,
Turbo.
this is great. Having 3 people just shout out random Street Fighter 2 names is great.
Same.
Keep going.
EX plus Alpha.
Yes.
Oh, see, that'd be a nice inclusion. Street Fighter EX.
Yeah.
Plus Alpha.
Yay.
You know what? This is really good value, especially for those people who spent $40 buying just the Ultra Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
So congratulations, suckers.
I don't know about that. I got my money's worth.
Really?
Ethan,
This is a much better collection here.
Your Switch library
it's
precludes you from
better.
this conversation.
No,
No,
guys. $40 for one Street Fighter game is just as good of a deal as $40 for 12 Street Fighter games.
No, but I've gotten my money's worth, so I'm.
Did
I'm
you
having
really?
no problems.
Actually, I think he did. Look at his. He played that thing for a long time.
I did.
Way longer than I did.
Ethan lives a 30-hour day, remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how he
Yeesh.
does it, but he does it.
Yeesh.
Mm-hmm.
No, I feel I received that Ultra Street Fighter 2 for Switch. I got that as a gift from one of my students back when I was teaching, and I still feel ripped off. I still feel ripped off.
Ouch.
Yeah.
To each their own. I've really enjoyed it. It's been really nice to have it portable, and I'm super excited to get like a ton more of that kind of content, especially Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. That's a personal favorite of mine. But Alpha 3 is super exciting too. That roster is incredible.
To be fair, when they announced Ultra, Capcom probably didn't think the Switch was going to sell anything, so they wouldn't have to do the 30th anniversary collection on the Switch. So they probably just stuffed it all into the one game. And they were like, "This is it." And then they were like, "Oh wait, this actually sold." Maybe
So they're doing a 30th anniversary, but so it was the 30th anniversary of the original Street Fighter, not Street Fighter 2, right? Because Street Fighter 2 didn't come out to the early 90s.
That's right.
And it's super cool.
But
Also,
the original
that
Street
the
Fighter
original is on it.
Is it? Okay.
It
It's
is.
not really cool from an oddity standpoint. That is a terrible game.
Yes.
Oh,
it
it's
is.
awful, but it's nice
god-awful
to have it
game.
in the collection.
Yeah.
It's still nice to have it there. You'll
kinda
play it
have
for
to
5
have it.
minutes and say, "Yep, I played it again," and that's
Yeah. Wow, that game's terrible.
Yeah, it seems like they're going to have a lot of like art galleries and sprite galleries and stuff like that, which is cool, I suppose. I really would like to see some kind of documentary about Street Fighter.
Absolutely.
And not just
Absolutely.
about the competitors, because I've seen various documentaries about the tournament scene and whatnot.
Maybe
I wanna see something
Daniel
about
Dwyer.
the making of Street Fighter 2 and how they changed a absolutely crappy fighting game into an amazing force. So
Yep. I also so are they going to release a good controller for the Switch with the 3/3 configuration, or
They
I think they already
arcade
have
sticks.
one.
do they?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So
Hori makes an
my
arcade
my
stick.
question's going to be if you can play not only 4 games all on the same day, but across all the different platforms, like which games are going to be the most popular, and is there 1 or 2 in that list that just nobody's going to go to because they're distracted by the others?
I mean, I don't remember what for you said or actually online, but I don't see a lot of people spending loads of time in the original Street Fighter 2.
No,
Right.
There's kind of no point to that. Like that's
Well, when you
again,
have
it's
the-
there. It's good to have it there as sort of this exists, just
Right.
like the original Street Fighter. But I don't know why you'd ever play it when you've got Turbo, Hyper, Super, and then the Alpha games. Like
Yeah.
play it for 5 minutes and then move on. Championship Edition, even.
Word.
Yeah. And to round out the news,
Microsoft
announced that if you
They're going to release games next year.
if you
Finally.
purchase an Xbox One X machine between now of the time we're recording this and the end of the year, you get a free copy of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds for your new system.
Which has
And-
already sold more than 1 million copies.
It's already sold more than 1 million copies, yeah. And we can kind of roll this right on into what you've been playing because
Yep.
Greg and I and Ethan, I think too, have played PUBG on the Xbox. And let me just say, I'm surprised this was even released.
Yes.
Buy an Xbox
Is
One
it-
X.
Yes.
and you get to be
Is
a
it that
beta
bad?
tester for free.
It is rough.
So
Oh.
I have an original Xbox, not an
Yeah.
Me
S
too.
or a One X, and
Mhm.
it runs really poorly, especially the part where you're in the plane above the island and
Yes.
parachuting out. Like you can sort of use this map to pinpoint where you're gonna bail out, and you do that. And Stuart and I were playing a duo game, and you bail out, and suddenly, like, the ground that you're looking at is completely undetailed. So let's say you had marked on the map like a place that looked like it had buildings. When you actually bail out, you can't see anything but terrain.
Hmm.
And the buildings pop in much later when you're much closer to the ground, and it's not nearly as helpful to determine where you're trying to land. So, and this is coming from 2 people, maybe 3 people, including Ethan, who are not all that familiar with the PC game.
Right.
Yeah, I have the PC game as well, and it is running on a not super powerful bit of hardware. I have a i5 with a 970 graphics card, so it's far from top of the line, but it is much smoother on PC. It's almost unplayable to me on the Xbox if you have also played the PC version. It sometimes drops to like nearly 10 frames a second.
Or
And that
less.
makes,
Can I just say
Or
that
less.
it's almost unplayable in the Xbox, even if you haven't played the PC version? Because I haven't
Sure,
played it,
sure,
and
I'm-
I
yeah.
find this terrible.
I would actually
yeah.
say, especially if you have not played the PC version and you don't have familiarity with the game's systems and gameplay style, or even the map. Like, if you don't know the map, you're going to be completely lost. In the Xbox version. I mean, it's shocking, and
it's just not ready. It's not ready.
No,
for
wow.
them to be releasing this and also giving it away free to people who buy an Xbox One X. Like,
Well, this is their Christmas release, basically.
it's
Right.
just,
It's
But all
surprising.
reports is that the Xbox One X also has terrible frame rate problems.
Yes.
It does.
Yeah, I've read that too.
Yeah, there's a Digital Foundry video, and yeah, on the original it drops down to single digits, and on the One X it struggles to get out of the 20s.
Ooh.
And I mean, frame
other-
rate's not the biggest problem either. I mean, when I played the first 5 matches I played, I crashed out of 3 of them. Like literally crashed to the dashboard, not to the title screen, right to the dashboard. Like and there's
also-
like textures that don't load, and there's so many issues with the game.
They have so overburdened the different things that you can do within the game on the controller that you hit the button, hold down a button, and you get a kind of third person lock for shooting. You tap it, and you end up getting a first person zoom in. You click the buttons in, and you are able to kind of look around walls and stuff like that. But it's just so complex, and it really feels like if they had just streamlined this to be a console experience instead of trying to make it exactly the same thing on console.
Well, they kind of have to offer all of the functionality of the PC game on the console version, right? They have to map all of the things you can do on the PC version onto a game controller in some way, right?
I guess, but why? They're not. Are they?
It's not crossplay.
Putting players on the same right. So why? No. Why would they have to do that?
That's a good point. That's a good point. But I think if you didn't do that, people who loved it on the PC would complain, right? That they didn't have all their functionality.
Oh, the people who, if they're playing on PC, would not in a million years want to play this janky version.
Yeah, I really don't think. I don't think the controls are the biggest problem for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we ran into some interesting graphical problems as well, where during our game, suddenly we landed and started running around the houses, and suddenly Greg was in a swimming animation on my screen. He was literally swimming in midair up the stairs. Like, it was the weirdest thing.
I was practicing.
Well, the contrast for me came when this weekend I ended up switching over to Splatoon 2 because they had a Splatfest, and there again is a game designed specifically for console that feels super smooth and is a really great experience, and it just makes that rough PUBG experience just feel like it's even harder.
I think it was the CADcast or one of the other podcasts I listened to this week said that their wife looked at the screen and asked how old the game they were playing was, because everything else that has been released in the last 4 years looks way better than this and performs way better than this on the same hardware. It's appalling how bad it is. What exactly the state of this thing is. And I guess, I mean, there are no reviews because it's still early access, right? This is a game preview game, so there's not a lot being talked about.
See, I'm sorry though, that's such bullshit to me. If it's early, if you're gonna do that type of thing on the console, do a free demo.
Do an
open
other
beta. Don't make people.
Game preview games on Xbox have a 1 hour free trial. All of them do, except for Battlegrounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you add to the fact that not only does it play very rough, but there's fairly limited content in there relative to what people are usually expecting. I mean, one map, for instance, and it just.
I thought this had 2.
It will have 2. The PC version has 2 right now in beta, and it's going live, I think, on the 20th of December with their full 1.0 version on PC. The Xbox One only does have 1 map right now.
But PC, to be fair, the PC version also just had 1 map until a month ago.
Yeah. But I'm just saying that there's definitely a novelty to the mechanic. It is suspenseful and exciting, and when you do start landing a couple of kills, it does feel really satisfying because the stakes are very high. So I can totally see why people love it. But if your first experience is the Xbox version, I can't imagine this does anything good for the brand or for a Bluehole.
Oh, and especially if you bought an Xbox One X and you have a 4K television and you load this up and it performs the way that it does, I don't think you're going to be very impressed.
And I would even argue that, I mean, I'm not arguing that it's not a good experience, but it's not intense. It's, for me anyway, the first, I played it for a couple nights, and most of my matches for the longest time, I'm just running. I'm not doing anything.
That's true.
If you land away from a group, you're not doing anything, except making sure that you're not caught outside the area that's closing in. But all I did was run for the longest time. I felt like every time I played, and I'm terrible at the game, obviously, but every time I played, I would run for 5 minutes and then get shot in the head, and then I'm done. it wasn't fun at all. And I know that goes against what millions of other people are saying about the game, and that's fine. But like, I don't feel like the stakes are any higher than any other game that just has a death match. I mean, you still, if you get killed in those, you're out as well. It's just that the map's not contracting, but the map is almost too big. I think it would be way more intense if the map was a lot smaller to start with, instead of being able to land and loot all over the place at first. But
I think as a beginner to the game, it's hard to learn the map when the map is so freaking huge. Like, you're never going to learn the map that way. But of course, on the PC, the people who have been playing it for months and months and months already know the existing map, no problem, right?
Yeah.
There's no tutorial. There's no explanation of any of the controls either. They drop you in. You just have to figure it out. And when they drop you into the lobby with however many people, the system is struggling so hard to keep that lobby going, because it drops you in a small area and everybody else is in that same area, right? It's like one of the bits of the game.
Here's a question for you guys. There was a lot of debate as to whether or not PUBG should be considered for Game of the Year. I argued that it should be. Another question would be, is the version that we're playing on Xbox right now, is it fair to put a preliminary review out there for it?
Yes,
because it's
absolutely.
early access, but a million people bought it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even care how many people bought it. If you're going to put a price tag on it, yes.
Yeah.
Review it.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with you, if it's out there for sale, then it should be up for Game of the Year. I think it'd be insane to give this something like this Game of the Year, but yeah.
Well, I feel that way about any game that's released into early access. You can give it a score on day one, as long as you are willing to revisit and revise that review as the game evolves, right? Many outlets, I don't think, would do that, but
when you're talking about Game of the Year now, you have to have that careful qualifier that they're only talking about the PC version, because to Greg's point, it would be crazy to suggest that the Xbox One would be in that kind of rarefied field.
I don't, and honestly, I mean, I don't know who they owe an updated review to. Maybe they're readers, but for a game like this, I mean, I would review it, and the only reason you would even do an updated review is to drive clicks, not to serve anyone, really.
You wouldn't do an updated review if Microsoft and Bluehole were able to address all of the technical issues that we ran into while playing the other night. You wouldn't re-review it?
Depends on how long it takes, I guess. If it was within a week or something, sure. But if it's like we're talking, say it's fair 5 months down the road, no.
Okay.
I disagree with that, because I think that once the game is out of its early access, then it's fair to take another close look at it and perhaps change the score if it's a dramatically different experience. But again, right now, for me, I'd say that personal tastes, I'd put the PC at like an 8 out of 10 if I was a critic, and I'd put the Xbox One at a 4. That's the difference I see.
And I mean, you go to any gaming website and ads for it are all over the place. Like, Microsoft is really hyping this one up. They've obviously spent a lot of money,
and it's smart too, because it's going to move systems.
It's a big name too.
Yeah,
I mean, just the name alone.
But it just feels I don't know. It feels gross that they're charging money for this.
It's only $30.
Yeah, that's $30 too much right now.
$30 a jank.
Seriously, you're paying $30 to be a beta tester. It's,
what's the broader consensus? Are there people out there that are saying, yes, this is the experience that you were waiting for, or is it more or less people saying the same thing we are?
I mean, I saw a lot of the week of release, or like the day or two after release, I saw a lot of articles about the technical issues that were happening, but I don't know.
Well, even the Digital Foundry video, I thought, was very fair in their estimation of the frame rate and performance issues. They really did not harp on anything big, and they didn't run into some of the issues that we did. There's another video by Crowbcat that shows even worse performance than we saw as well. Like, textures not popping in for quite a while after he had gotten onto the ground. So, Yeah.
This sounds like it's a hell of an opportunity for Fortnite.
It is. I mean, Fortnite is free. Their battle royale game is free, and in my opinion, I've only spent a little bit of time with Fortnite battle royale, but I really enjoy that one. In part because it's the visuals I find are much more welcoming. The island is smaller, a lot smaller than the Battlegrounds island. So it's certainly much more my speed. I think we should play that one next. Everybody should we should hop on
Just compare it.
PSN and have some fun with that. Because Greg, you haven't played that one, right?
No, I have not.
You should try it out. And yeah, I think it's a big opportunity for Epic with Fortnite.
Well, and the biggest problem I see right now with PUBG is that I played it for a couple of hours the first night it was out, and I have not played it since.
Yeah, same here.
Because it's not good.
Yeah,
Right.
I didn't
Not
have
a good
any.
experience.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't have the most enjoyable part of the night that I played was CJ posting the video of my character swimming around in the house.
Yeah.
That was it.
With the water noises.
Yeah.
That was the best part.
Yeah.
Every time you moved, there was a splash of water. Yeah, and there's just too much else to play on console. Even
Yes.
you know, Overwatch is doing its winter event. You got the Splatfest that Nintendo is doing. There's a lot of stuff to play for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, Greg. Since we're already like halfway into what you've been playing, you want to continue?
I played Guitar Man on Thursday night.
Ooh, Gitaru Man.
That stream. It's great. That's a great game. Although I was reminded during the stream that I gave it a 6. UDGM.
You gave it a 6.
Criminally
And
low.
I remember fighting over that with you, CJ.
Well, we kept talking about the big thing with that review was the playtime.
Yeah,
Like
which
it did not take long at all to finish the game. So.
Yeah, in a 90-minute stream, having not played the game for a few years, in a 90-minute stream, I was able to finish it.
Yeah.
So it did have a 2-player mode, although I don't remember what it was all about. But
it did, but that would not have saved it.
No, but it is extremely charming.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It'd be a great like $20 or $30 game back in the day.
Was that a full price game back in the day?
Pretty sure it was a full price game.
That game is so good.
But a great game. And I also ended up going and buying Hellblade, based on
good for you.
basically, everyone going on and on about how great it is. And I've played, I don't know, about 3 hours of it now. It's really good. It's there's a lot of talky talk,
Sure.
a lot of walking around and not doing a whole lot, but it's really pretty to look at. And man, playing it with headphones is ridiculous. So there's like I always forget what those videos are called that you can go online, and it's like there's this whole thing about it's like this binaural stereo.
You mean the ASMR?
ASMR. That's what they're called.
Where somebody whispers to you?
Or wait, isn't ASMR another Super Metroid remake? Anyway, I always get them
That's
screwed up.
AM2R.
Yeah, but it's like someone's whispering to you. Like it always sounds like someone's like right in your ear, whispering to you, and that's how. When Senua walks around, well, for the entire game, really, Senua was hearing voices. The main character is hearing voices, and if you wear headphones, which is absolutely the way you should play that game, they feel like they're in your head, like it's amazing, and they're constantly switching back and forth, left and right, and it's a Ninja Theory game, so it plays really nicely. The combat's excellent. Really dig it. The animation and the combat is great too. So I've beaten 2 bosses, and I think I'm about to enter Hell now, which is the whole point. So
Sure.
really enjoying it so far. For like $30, it's a pretty good game. $30.
Cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
but I definitely wanted to play it before we started to do our Game of the Year stuff. So now I have.
Nice.
I'm playing Pinball FX 3 as well, but I haven't played a lot of it yet.
Well,
Yeah.
So I don't
Phil
really feel like
probably
I'm
has, right?
I
Phil's
played
got a bunch of his what you've been playing list is a virtual bevy of pinball titles.
2 games there, dude.
it's two pinball games.
Two games.
It's
Yeah,
like
released
I'm a
in the same
wash in
week.
an ocean.
It's released in the same week. That's pretty
It's
good.
true. It's
Yeah.
true.
Yep.
You want
I've
me
been
to talk
playing
about
that as
pinball?
well.
Yeah, talk about pinball.
Boy, do I like the
Somebody
license
talk
boards.
about
Go ahead,
pinball.
Phil.
I guess I'll just let Ethan talk.
Somebody
No, go
talk
ahead.
about pinball.
I there are two pinball games hit the Nintendo Switch this week. We have Pinball FX 3 and Stern Pinball Arcade.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So, but that
And-
doesn't mean that it just doesn't let you mess around. It's like you have to pay attention.
Yeah, it's like they really
Yeah.
really are
They're really serious about pinball.
very grumpy. Yeah. You want to play pinball? Yeah, play pinball now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hit the
look, eyes forward.
Don't
Look
you
over
tilt. Don't tilt. Don't tilt. Now play. Stern Pinball Arcade. Ta-da! So Pinball FX 3. Well, both games, Pinball FX 3 and Stern Pinball Arcade, are free on the eShop.
Mm-hmm.
They both come with one table for that low cost of $0.00.
Okay.
Just like one map with PUBG. Keep going.
Yeah, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Except you don't have to pay for these.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. Pinball FX3, I think it's the Sorcerer's Lair or something like that, is the free table. And there's a promotion running right now that will probably be done by the time this episode gets posted, where you can get another like 2 tables for free in Pinball FX3. And the free table you get with the Stern is Frankenstein. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, based on the hit
Movie.
Kenneth Branagh, Robert De Niro vehicle that everyone remembers.
Yes, I do remember that.
Stern's whole shtick is that they're real boards, right?
Yes. Yeah. Pinball FX3 is a little more fanciful with their pinball
Although
tables.
they're generally built to be like you could make those boards, right? Like they would physically work in Pinball FX, wouldn't they?
Yeah, for the most part.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, there's some.
I'm not really
I mean,
familiar
if you made them in real life, they might break a whole lot.
with pinball machines.
No, because the Pinball FX stuff has like more animated characters kind of walking around the boards and stuff like that. So
It's
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got the Pinball FX, and I picked up because the Pinball FX, those are the people who do the Marvel Pinball and the Star Wars Pinball as well.
Yep.
Neither of which none of those tables are available on the Switch yet. I'm assuming they will be at some point. I don't know why they're not now.
Well, that'd be pretty new for the Switch. You got to wait a couple of years.
So the Universal set is pretty nice. I did end up paying for those, getting E.T. and Back to the Future and Jaws.
Right.
Yeah, they got some nice licenses in there.
That's the one I want to buy. Oh, I definitely want to buy that one.
Yeah, they have the Aliens ones as well.
Yeah.
And Family Guy.
The one thing
What's that?
One thing that's understandable but disappointing is when you're playing, say, Back to the Future, and they don't have the Jerry Goldsmith music.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
It's conspicuous. Yeah, same thing with E.T. and Jaws. Obviously, you really want that John Williams theme, and it's not there. And
less excited for that.
They don't have the licensed music for any of those.
Nope.
That's pretty terrible.
Yeah, the boards are really fun, but yeah, then also the voice alikes are not the best.
That's understandable.
Yeah,
I can forgive that.
Yeah, I believe I think the Aliens tables, because there are a few Aliens tables. I think those use clips right from the movie.
Oh, that's cool.
Really, you get some Bill Paxton going on in there? Please tell me you get some Bill Paxton.
I think
Game over, man.
I haven't bought those tables yet, but I've heard that those just use clips.
Or do they go a little with the deeper cuts and get some Paul Reiser in there?
Yes.
Right?
Where's my Mad About You table?
Yeah. Mad about you.
Yeah. I would love it if they did that and that table was $49.99.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. They should do. They could do Aliens and Mad About You and Stranger Things, and just have like the Paul Reiser set.
Yeah. There you go.
Those are pretty relaxing games, though. Really nice to just kind of sit down and give yourself 15 minutes. Yeah, I really dig that.
They're fun. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah. They are definitely.
And those of us who are terrible at pinball, they're fun.
Playing Tate mode as well.
Yeah.
I haven't tried. So how's that?
I haven't tried it yet either, just because there's no nice way to prop up your screen in Tate mode unless you
that's true.
Get some cushions propped up behind your screen or something.
Yeah, it feels like it's a very you need a makeshift solution. Well, I mean, I think there are a couple of stands you can buy now that are you can rotate.
Are there actual Tate stands?
Yeah. I don't know if there are Tate stands, but like you can just I've seen like third party stands that are like
I think
clips,
the Hori
you know that you would find for any Android tablet, and then you can just twist it. And but I don't know that for sure. I think I've seen those.
I did see a like someone had 3D printed a like a Joy-Con holder that holds the screen in Tate mode, and you can slip the
that'd be cool.
Yeah. So
that's handy.
But I picked up the Portal table for
nice.
Yeah.
Now, does that have the music in it? And by music,
you know what's weird is it has the Back to the Future theme.
Weird.
You start it up and
that is a gutsy artistic choice.
And then GLaDOS starts talking. Like GLaDOS starts reciting lines from Back to the Future. It's really weird. Yeah.
But does it work?
Oh no, it works great. It's hilarious.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's very much in character.
Roads. Yeah.
Let's hear that GLaDOS impression again.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
And if you buy the Family Guy table, it's just me going, yeah, don't tilt the Family Guy. Even if you play like the Bob's Burgers tables, yeah, it's Bob's Burgers and the Family Guy. But
that voice sounds painful when you do it.
it's surprisingly easy on the old pipes there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's yeah. You don't even have to.
But Pinball FX3 has online leaderboards and all that.
Yeah.
Stuff as well. You can unlock perks for the different tables and things like that.
Like score multipliers and things like that. All sorts of funky sort of stuff that wouldn't really work on a real table, but
it's got a metagame in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's cool. I do dig it. I do want to get the
well, and they had a Family Guy tournament sponsored by
sponsored by I guess Disney. Sponsored by Disney now.
Really?
No, sponsored by
I'm a Disney princess now. Yeah, I'm a Family Guy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Family Guy shows up in Last Jedi. So it's the synergy is already starting to work. Not to spoil it for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then, what does Stern Pinball Arcade offer?
Stern Pinball? Well, you get, like I said, you get the Frankenstein table for free.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird because it's Stern Pinball. It's by Farsight Studios, the folks who do the.
I've done a lot of those.
Yeah, they do the Pinball Arcade series.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's all the real life tables. They've done a few Kickstarters to buy some of the more expensive licensed tables, like Star Trek and Addams Family and that sort of thing. But it's a little odd because the Pinball Arcade has pinball tables from many different manufacturers. There's the Stern Pinball, there's Williams Pinball tables. Other pinball manufacturers,
Gottlieb.
Thank you. And
Valley a pinball manufacturer as well.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Valley.
Yeah. But for some reason, now with the Switch release, they're just doing tables by Stern, which is seems oddly limiting. So there are
just be rolling them out. You know,
Yeah,
I mean,
maybe.
it might have some kind of deal with the licenses where it's just like, you know, you got to roll out a certain number of them at the same time or something like that.
That
without
could
having,
be.
you don't want competition from the other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are two waves of tables you can get, and there are a lot of licensed tables. There's the Star Trek tables in there, Ripley's Believe It or Not, Ghostbusters. There's an AC/DC table.
Nice.
Last Action Hero, widely sought after license these days. So I haven't broken down and bought any of those tables yet, but I probably will.
Okay.
So, you know
Which
what?
plays better?
You know what? I did notice that because I was playing them both on the TV, but I did try playing some on the on the handheld mode.
Yeah.
Yes. And which one was I playing? Was it 3DFX where like the frame rate seemed to drop? I can't remember which one of the two pinball games it was, but the frame rate dropped in handheld mode.
Okay.
To the point
That
where
must be Stern then, because what I've played of FX3 in handheld mode only, and I haven't seen a frame rate issue.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
me-
So it's
me as well.
probably Stern then, because it certainly was noticeable. And I am not one of those people who really notice the
You should play
Frame rate?
PUBG.
yeah. But yeah, it's pinball is a little tough if you don't have a consistent frame rate.
Yeah, that's a
Imagine that.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, I like pinball games.
They're fun.
I do like
Yeah,
fun
fun.
pinball games.
All right.
Yeah, that's about all I've been playing. I did I also picked up Hammer Watch on the Switch. Which just
Yeah,
came
what's
out
that
this
all
week.
about? Do you watch Hammers in it?
It's a weird game because it's just
Dad
it's a picture of a hammer.
How much hammers in it? Somewhere I can hear my daughter's eyes rolling.
And if you avert your eyes, you lose points.
Yeah.
Hammer Watch is a game. I originally played it on the Steam for the personal computer.
Uh-huh.
I got it probably in a Humble Bundle or something like that years ago. With this, and you know, it's a Hammer Watch was originally released in 2013, so it's a pretty new game for the Switch.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a hacky slashy dungeon crawler type game, and it's all pixel art and everything, and it's a fun little game. So
Okay.
I
I think it also came out for PS4 this
Oh,
week.
did it really?
Or maybe it's out this week, yeah. But
Okay.
I saw it recently. Yeah.
okay. Well, it's I mean, it's an old game, so it's
Okay.
perfect for Switch.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, it's a fun for $10. I'll play this on the go. I'll play this
Okay.
while I'm pooping.
Do you play your Switch while you're pooping?
What don't I do while I'm pooping? I mean, the list of things.
I have not.
Oh, someone's asking how
I'm
much
not.
tables are. Someone on our live chat. Slave to the box wants to know how much the tables are for the pinball things. The Stern pinball, I think you get like 5 tables or something for $20.
Uh-huh.
It all
I
kind of
I
What's
spent
that?
$10 for the 3 Universal tables
okay.
on
FX3.
Pinball FX3. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's $3 to $5 per table if you really want to break it down, depending on which package you buy.
Sure.
So that's about right. Yeah, but that's really
You're
all
avoiding
I've.
the question though, Phil. Do you actually play your Switch while pooping?
No. Honestly, I tend to just read Twitter.
Greg, Ethan, are you a Switch pooper?
Nope.
I'm not answering that.
That means yes.
That's a yes. That's a yes.
Yeah. Alrighty.
How about you, CJ?
What?
Don't think you can get out of this by asking the question.
I said no.
You don't switch and
I'm not a Switch pooper.
What do you do while you poop? Then you're so smart. Read Twitter. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, Ethan. what do you
Yeah.
got for us?
Been a good week this week. I ended up just last night around 3:30 in the morning finishing off the Zelda Breath of the Wild Champions DLC.
Oh man.
But how long did that take?
About 7 hours, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's quite a bit of content. However, a lot of the content feels heavily recycled. So you're getting basically what is it, like 12 new shrines, a new dungeon, and 4 really nice cutscenes along with the motorcycle. That's basically the sum of the content. This is one of those cases where I would have bought it either way because, hey, 7 more hours of Zelda, which is my favorite game of the year.
Ethan. You would have bought it either way because, let's be honest, Switch.
Sure. But
Okay.
Yeah.
the thing is despite that, and despite the fact that I enjoyed the 7 hours, I still come away a bit disappointed relative to what I was hoping for. So, I was hoping maybe you could play as Princess Zelda, or you'd have a new part of the world that was introduced, or, you'd have a dungeon that was dramatically different than what you've seen before. And all of this feels like repurposing of content, up to and including, and pardon any spoilers here. I'm forewarning. This is a bit of a spoiler.
Don't do it. Okay.
Chewbacca kills Kylo Ren.
Well, I'll say this. I'll say some of the more difficult parts of the game are literally repurposing things you've already done.
Yeah, I picked it up also, of course, and I played through the first little bit, and then headed off towards the first. I forget what the bird champion's name is. Anyway, I headed off to his area and got the whatever 3 tasks or 4 tasks that you have to do. And it seems to me like a lot of the time is going to be spent figuring out where I'm supposed to do those things.
Yeah. And actually that's one thing, is that they make it so that they give you kind of a rough snapshot of where on the map you might be able to find
Which,
the
by the
shrines
way,
you have to go
I
to.
effing hate that in a game where
I
you
do
already
too.
have a map and you have
Yes.
waypoints. You're going to give me a picture of the place on the map.
Well, and the
where
worst
something
one
happens like that's
The worst one by far is that first one you went to, because I had to actually go and check YouTube to figure out where the hell that was supposed to be, because the topography of the map that you
It's
have doesn't
different.
look anything like the pictures. I didn't have the same problem with the other ones. It's much clearer. They have certain areas that you can kind of use as a marker to determine roughly in proximity where you're supposed to go. But just put it on the damn map.
exactly.
Just make that
Just put it on the map.
easier.
I don't want, I don't want the busy work of having to try to match up the visuals of the painting you're showing me and the map that I have.
Right.
That's kind of ridiculous.
And I will say also that the concluding battle, I forewarn everyone, is harder than Calamity Ganon. It's really hard. At least it was for me. Okay, well, maybe you won't have a problem with this either, but I struggled. There are many forms to deal with. It's a pretty intensive thing, and again, my feeling is always I prefer the toughest battle to be the penultimate one instead of the final one, because again, I was up at 3 a.m, wanted to finish the content, and didn't want to have to do this fight 6 times. So. Again, it's good content. It's really cool when you unlock the motorcycle. I kind of wish they hadn't spoiled that in the trailers, and I wouldn't have spoken about it at all if they hadn't put it in the trailer.
The internet would have spoiled it for you, though. Like you weren't going to be able to get away from that.
But when they call it story content, that really feels like a stretch to me. Because yes, you get some cutscenes that give you more information about the champions, but this is not like an extension that gives you an idea of what happens after Ganon's defeated. It all happens before that. It's, it's fine. It's probably worth the $10.
The strongest part of Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, that's true.
I would say it's like the weakest part of Breath of the Wild.
Sure, and some of the shrines that you get in this are really clever. A lot of fun things.
Not to spoil at all.
I hate when
but
you
the
guys
first
say that.
the first bit that you do with the little one-hit obliterator weapon, and you then get access to 4 shrines. I thought those were really interesting. They were really interesting shrines to do that did a couple of things that I was not expecting to see. So,
yeah. Well, and I think that a fair way to put the game is it's almost a micro version of the whole game where, yeah, the Obliterator, you can knock out people in one hit, but also you can die with one hit. You're knocked down to a half of a heart in terms of health. It's a pain in the ass, but it does kind of bring back that feeling of being at the very beginning of the game where you're pretty helpless as well. Yep. And so, you have to do 3 things on the Great Plateau, right? Is it 3 or 4? I'm trying to remember.
3 or 4. But you have to go and destroy some enemy encampments, and you you die in one hit, and you can kill enemies in one hit. And for that, I put on the Majora's Mask, which makes you invisible to a lot of enemies.
Oh, that's smart. Yeah, I didn't do that.
That made that bit a lot easier, because originally I didn't put on that mask, and I was like, how the hell am I going to do this? I'm going to be running away a lot.
Yeah. Well, it is by far, outside of that final confrontation, the hardest part. The game gets much, much easier, this DLC, once you finish that initial part of the game. Okay. So bear in mind, it's not consistently that difficult. Okay. But it's worth it. It's just go in with, I would say, lowered expectations. This is really more like you get 10 more hours of exactly the same game you were playing, or in my case, 7 hours. Some people have spent more time on it. It's not like
I think that's fair, though. I mean, you're mentioning things like more story, and you were expecting to be able to play as a different character or open up a different part of the world, and I don't know, like, how Nintendo didn't facilitate those kinds of expectations anyway. Like,
no, you're right. But to Greg's point, when he was talking about these things earlier, you had no idea what you were signing up for when you were buying.
That's true.
The $20 DLC, and so, as I said, I would have bought it anyway, but I would have preferred for my expectations to be set.
For me, I thought it was great. It's like more of the game I really like, but where I really kind of lost me was in the, okay, here's 4 paintings of areas that you have to find on the map, and that just,
it's a pain.
That's a waste of my time, honestly.
Yeah.
I want to play more Breath of the Wild, but I want to get to the actual content. I don't want to have to guess where I'm going to find these challenges. Like, that doesn't do it for me.
So, in addition to that, on Switch, I did pick up Yooka-Laylee, which is $40, and I didn't know what to expect because I had never played the game before, didn't buy it on the other platforms, and was really concerned about performance after having seen what happened with Rime. But the game runs beautifully on Switch. It really does run nicely. Really surprised by that, and it's a very fun update on Banjo-Kazooie. It's as silly and tacky and plotting as Banjo-Kazooie, but if you go in expecting basically Banjo-Kazooie 3, I think you're going to come away pretty happy with it. Has anyone else played Yooka-Laylee?
I played it on the PS4 because
Why would I want to play Banjo-Kazooie 3?
I backed it as a Kickstarter.
Well, maybe you wouldn't, but
no,
like what Phil said, that's the exact reason I never even. As soon as I heard it was a spiritual successor to the old rare platformers, was like, no, that's not.
But it's, I don't know. I mean, I have nostalgia for Donkey Kong 64 and for Banjo-Kazooie.
Weird.
And I like that style of game, so I enjoyed what I played on the PS4. I'm not going to run out and get the Switch version, but I did enjoy what they were doing anyway, what they set out to do.
Yeah, and for me, it's a nice change of pace. It's nice to have that as kind of a complement to playing something like Skyrim, right, or something a little darker. I do wish that there was a physical version of it, especially since it's $40. That
I'm sure there will be. I'm sure there will be.
Yeah, probably. But
you can't do. I mean, obviously, the turnaround for a digital game versus a physical. much shorter. So I would imagine we probably will hear something about a physical version of Yooka-Laylee at some point.
Yeah.
I'll be shocked
Well,
we don't.
if you're like many folks who held off on this, not because you're put off by the idea of a rare style platformer, but simply because you wanted to wait till Switch and were concerned about performance, don't worry, performance is great, and the game is more or less exactly what you'd expect.
Yeah, Digital Foundry did a
really
video
good.
comparing PS4 and Switch, and it looked pretty identical.
Yep. So, small nod to Mutant Mudds, which came out as a collection for $10 if you bought it early, $15 now on the Switch, which is also just really great value for the dollar. If you guys haven't played that before, it does a lot with depth perception, which is fun and works remarkably well, even if you're not on a 3DS. Have you guys played Mutant Mudds at all?
I've played it like 3 times already, so I don't need to
Okay.
spend another $10 or $15 to play it again.
Sure, but if you haven't played it, and I hadn't, that's something that is definitely something that is worthwhile, especially at that price point.
Sure.
It's a good game. Very good game.
It is.
It was that was on 3DS, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was, to me, was like the way to play it.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, because it's sort of a take on. It feels a bit like the Wario Land game on Virtual Boy.
Yeah.
With the diving in and out of the foreground and background.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's a lot of fun.
For sure.
The 3D works very much in that game's favor.
Yeah.
So,
9 Parchments I also picked up. Did anyone try the new Frozen Byte game?
I tried the demo. I didn't
Okay. Yeah.
care for it.
Okay. There's a free demo. It is Diablo with wizards. So it's kind of a twin stick shooter. It's fun. There are some connection issues, which seems to be a persistent problem in a lot of third-party Switch games. But the last one I'll bring up is Fallout 4 VR, which I picked up. And this one has gotten a lot of mixed reviews. Unfortunately, it launched set up so that if you were running at a lower resolution on your PC than you were on your headset, it would run at that resolution. And so since since my PC is set up to my TV and my TV is a 1080p, it was like playing Fallout 4 where the character lost his glasses. It was just like you just couldn't see anything. Really kind of upset about that. But then they quickly issued a patch and things became much crisper. And again, I'm not running on a super powerful rig, and already I'm slightly below what the recommended specs are, but it runs pretty smoothly, and just walking around in that space in full 3D is surprisingly satisfying. The VAT system is really nicely carried over. They've adjusted it for VR, so you can just aim your pointer at the different body parts and everything moves in slow motion. It's just, it feels good to just get out and explore. You're less prone to want to fast travel to places because part of the fun is just the exploration itself. And in fact, the game defaults at very easy. And I'm fine with that because it really is more about the experience than any kind of meaningful challenge to me, that game, especially in VR. But it puts you in the environment in a way that was more effective than I expected. And you have 2 different ways to control it. You can either do a kind of Nightcrawler mode where you bounce around like teleport style, which sucks, or you can do the smooth movement, which is just moving your finger around the slider almost like it's a mouse, which again is not as comfortable to me as having a real analog stick, but you get pretty well used to it. And it's a satisfying experience in VR. It's a highlight for VR this year.
So the smooth movement, do you feel like it's like, how does it compare to movement in Resident Evil 7? Is it like that level of comfort?
I would say, yeah. And so when you're moving forward, they kind of winnow out or box out the things on the side, so you can only kind of see in front of you until you stop moving. Then you get the full 360 again.
Okay.
So I have not felt sick yet. The only thing that's made me feel a little nauseous was the fact that, again, I'm running on a lower powered rig, so I had some frame rate issues when I was in an interior and there are a lot of enemies, and you never want frame rate issues in VR. It's a real problem.
No.
Yeah.
So that's a bummer, but again, it's a good reason to put on the headset. What's really interesting is when you're talking to the NPCs and you have these full rendered models that are as tall as you are, and they're 3D, and it really does feel like you're with the Minutemen as opposed to just running through a set of interactive cinemas.
I find that the sense of scale in those situations is really neat, just because, especially if it's a game that you've already played just on the television. But it's also, I think, one of the most jarring moments in a lot of those games, because you realize just how inhuman those models look.
Oh, sure.
Like the proportions don't seem right, and they seem like way too skinny. But it's a minor nitpick. It's right now it's more cool to be at ground level in those worlds.
Yeah,
it's for them to look real.
So I would say it's by no means perfect. It's not a transformative experience in VR, but it is definitely a highlight in terms of what VR has been able to do so far. And it is better at kind of pointing to what VR could become once we get higher resolution, lighter headsets, better controls. So if you're interested in kind of what the promise is, that's more compelling here than what the actual experience is.
And hey, really nice to get more sort of big, full-featured games.
That's true too. Yeah,
because it's still not as common as it should be. So,
yeah, I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but next week I'll be able to report on a LA Noire because I did buy that as well. I just haven't started yet.
So,
wait, LA Noire in VR?
Yes,
that's not just LA Noire though, is it? I thought it was just an expansion that was designed for VR.
It's the case files. My understanding is it's just your interrogation sequences.
Okay. But Fallout 4 is just Fallout 4, right? It's not
Fallout 4 is the whole game. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Very cool.
Yep.
Okay.
So
you didn't pick up a Skyrim VR or anything like that?
Skyrim VR, I do have a PlayStation VR, but I am going to wait until Vive because I really do want the full room scale experience.
Right. Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. That's all you've been playing?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm still racking up the hours in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. That game is awesome. I just enjoy it so much. And actually, I'm going to issue a quick correction here. Last week, I think I said when you sleep at inns, you could just get an arbitrary amount of experience to level you up in the correct point in the story. I mean, the game does a really crappy job explaining it, really. But it gives you the experience from the side quests that you've done. So normally you get experience from combat. And then if you want experience from side quests, which I guess a lot of like hardcore Xenoblade Chronicles people consider that cheating because they like to play it in hard mode or whatever. So you can basically choose whether you want that experience or not. I, of course, am going to take that experience because I don't want the game to turn into a grind fest. But anyway, yeah, I'm still having a lot of fun with it. It is totally an anime game. My God, is like anime trope after anime trope. It's fun though, for sure. It does a lot of wacky things, and I won't spoil any of that. But I'm around 50 hours into it now, and I'm still enjoying the heck out of it. It's still fun. So
I have an 11-year-old who's asking for it for Christmas. What are your thoughts as a parent?
It's fine. I mean, well. Would you let your daughter watch Ranma and a Half?
I would. My wife, maybe not.
Okay, then you might have a similar question.
Okay.
On that. I mean, obviously there are no bare chests or anything, but
you can say boobs. It's okay. It's the internet.
Okay, there are no bare boobs in it.
There you go.
But there's some innuendo, let's say, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
but you're still having a great time even this deep in. That's good to know.
Yeah, still having a great time. Still fun. And I'm also playing Never Stop Sneaking on the Switch.
I just got that today. It's cool.
Yeah.
This is an amazing game. So developed by Humble Hearts, who did Dust and Elysian Tale, and it is basically mimicking the graphic style of the PlayStation 1, I would say.
Yeah.
And really evoking Metal Gear Solid specifically. It is a stealth game. I think Kotaku said it was a stealth game for people who don't like stealth games, and I think that is absolutely accurate. It's sort of a top-down perspective, and you control your character with the left stick, and that's the only control in the game, in the actual gameplay, and everything else is done contextually. So you have the guards have their cone of vision, and as long as you sneak up behind them, you will take them out, or if they spot you, if you have a bullet, you'll shoot them automatically. So it's very easy to control, and it just feels really good. It's just a one-stick game, but it is super fun to play.
You can even play without any sticks at all. You can just use the touchscreen, which makes me think that when this was initially being designed, probably Switch was not the initial idea for platform.
Yeah, I'm imagining, mobile phone for sure.
Which I think it would have gotten totally lost there, and it would have found an audience. And here I hear a lot of people talking about it. I think it was smart for them to launch on Switch first, because I think that there's a natural, understandable resistance to spending $15 on something you could get for free or for $1 on mobile. But here, it's new, and I'm having a lot of fun with it too.
Yeah, the writing is absolutely hilarious. Like, it's a very absurd game, just in tone. I won't spoil any of that for you, but it's like an even more absurd Metal Gear Solid. Like,
definitely want to try that.
Yeah,
it's an intentionally absurd
intentionally absurd Metal Gear Solid style game, and it's hugely fun. I will say it doesn't seem very difficult, so
which is fine.
People who want like a stealth game to be supremely difficult, you're not going to find that in this game. This is pretty easy, but for me, I'm just having a lot of fun going around and playing through each level. Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing over and over again, and the bosses start to recycle, but I'm fine with that. And the humor's good enough that it's keeping me playing. So it's best in short bursts as well. I would say, like, I'm playing a long game like Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and have Never Stop Sneaking be a nice palate cleanser, like before going to sleep or something. It's nice for that. I wouldn't play it in like long stretches. It's a very nice short play game.
They really nail that PS1 MGS look also. Just the chunky pixels, like you can't see the eyes of the characters. Yeah.
They really do. Yeah, the textures on the faces, they don't actually animate when they're speaking. It's fun. This is the first game that is trying to be that style that I think actually pulls it off in a way that looks good. And kind of looks modern. Like games that try to look like PS1 or N64. I mean, those games don't look good now, even if you play them on the old hardware, but this manages to look decent, and that's certainly all credit to the developers for being able to do that.
The icon looks kind of janky, and the presentation when you first kick the game on it looks chintzy. It is worth pushing past that. But if I hadn't heard other podcasts talk about it and suggest that it was worthwhile, and I'd spend $15 just because I wanted a stealth game, the first minute of the experience would leave me kind of panicked that I just accidentally bought kind of
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, there's a video. Kotaku did a Let's Play, and then Giant Bomb did a quick look on it, and I would suggest watching those. And if within like the first 2 minutes you're hooked, go ahead and buy the game.
yeah
because it'll give you a good idea of the flavor. But it's a ridiculous game and hugely over the top, and I'm loving it. So highly recommended. It's only $15.
Yeah, and I just wanted to speak out also on the value of easy experiences. So as I said, Fallout 4 VR, I'm playing on very easy, playing the easiest setting on Wolfenstein 2, and this game as well is easy. And man, there's a place in my schedule for games that are not designed to challenge me at all. That's sometimes the most fun I can have with a game.
I completely agree with you, and that is why I'm continuing to play Xenoblade Chronicles 2, because it seems like it's just not a grind fest, and I love it for that. So
Yep.
Going up against a boss character and not losing the first time, I like that.
Yeah,
I'm fine with that. So,
yep.
All right.
Familiarity is good. One thing before I forget to mention it, my daughter for her birthday got Pokemon Ultra Moon. And is loving it. She played Sun through. This one, she's not seeing a lot of huge differences, but she just doesn't care. She's playing the game a little differently, had a different starter Pokemon, and is really having a great time with it. And so,
Cool.
Seems like that's one worth picking up a second time.
All right.
It's really good advice.
There you go. You know what? I think it is time now for tweets.
Tweet, tweet.
All right, let's do this one from Hacker Alias Does Machines, who says, do you find it easy to go back to games when new DLC comes out? Both Zelda and FF15 have a ton of new content out, but I'm too busy with my backlog of other games.
I find that's a problem too. Where I take so long to play through anything, I do find it hard to put a game that I've already finished back into the rotation.
Yeah, I feel that, and then also having to remember all of the controls and the groove of combat and things like. I often will just not be as skilled as I was when I finished the game the first time around.
Exactly.
Yeah, I actually was surprised this weekend to find that despite I had a lot of new titles ready to play, I was spending most of my time on Breath of the Wild and Splatoon 2 because of these updates.
Right.
I mean, I do definitely appreciate when they come out. Splatoon 2 is pretty easy. That's one that's just super easy to just get back into the groove of. But yeah, Zelda, I definitely did run into the problem of not remembering how to control it properly, and that's a real pain when one hit will kill you.
Oh, yeah.
So
that's for sure. Well, and things like the Overwatch winter event.
Yeah.
I haven't played Overwatch in a long time, and I played it again on Friday and was like, wow, I'm terrible. Like my skills have really atrophied over the months that I have not played the game, but the event is so cool. I want to play it again, but yeah. And I feel the same way with Splatoon as well, with Splatfest. Like I hadn't played one since probably like August or so, because they kept holding them during times when I was traveling, so I wasn't able to play them. And I felt a little bit of a learning curve when I came back.
Were you socks or sweaters, by the way?
I was socks. And we
too.
lost.
Yep.
The first shutout. I don't think I've ever seen a 3-0.
Oh yeah.
Splatfest.
So conversation for another time, but I still, after playing the game for 80 hours or more, have no idea how to effectively use the prizes that you get from those things. I just don't understand.
Well, let me tell you, Ethan, you use those to respec your equipment. You can scrub the abilities and try to get exactly what you want in all of them. So I really don't get into that. Sort of the same way I have a lot of sea snails that are completely unused because I don't do that stuff.
Sounds like some kind of gacha mechanic.
Not quite. Yeah. All right, let's do this one from Hacker Alias, the real D Vance, who says, with the year about to end, what is the one thing that sticks out in your mind when it comes to 2017 in video games? Mine would be just how big PUBG is and my anticipation to see what, if anything, changes with shooters in 2018.
Yeah, I mean, it's obvious for me, I think, but it's that I think this is Nintendo's strongest year ever. With the Switch and Mario and Breath of the Wild and SNES Classic and Metroid, I think that it's their best year of all time, period.
Okay.
I'd say Ethan stands out for me for 2017.
I'm gonna agree with Ethan. I think more specifically, the Nintendo Switch is what sticks out to me, and how important it has suddenly become to me to be able to play a game not tethered to a particular television. Like,
if only they'd invented portable gaming before now.
And I played the 3DS. Like, I love the 3DS, but there is a big gulf between home games on PS4, Xbox One, and the 3DS, right? Whereas I feel like it's a little less of a gulf between the Switch and the PS4.
Well, and I think
when it comes to
part
indies.
of that, a huge part of that is respecting the ritual of playing on the TV. It gives you both, because the Vita offered a really compelling A-class console game experience, but you couldn't bring it easily to the TV. That, I think, is the big difference, is that like it allows you to have a persistent game experience in every configuration in which you would want to play. Whereas before it was always, all right, I'll play my big game on the screen downstairs when it's available. And then when I'm on the go, I play a totally different game on my handheld. This breaks that cycle.
I agree.
I would say that for me, 2017, the standout is the Switch. That's what's going to define in years from now. Looking back at 2017, that will be the story that defined 2017.
Yeah.
And the relative success, considering how weak the Wii U was in the market, what a disappointment it was for Nintendo. I don't think you could have predicted that the Switch was going to come out and do this well. I know that, like, as an example, Ethan was really vocal about this coming into the Switch, where he said it was perfect for him, but he didn't expect it to be a hit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
And I think most people felt that way. Not that necessarily the perfect for them part, but I don't expect this to be a hit. So yeah, definitely the story that defined 2017 in gaming.
Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting. Touch Arcade had a really good write-up, a review of Skyrim for Switch, and Eli Hodup, the person who wrote it, was frustrated with Apple because he was pointing out that the iPad is much more powerful than the Switch, and if only Apple had set up an ecosystem that not only allowed them to release all the stuff they have, but that also respected higher price points and got people comfortable with it, Apple could have owned the Switch, audience.
I'm gonna say
no, that's wrong, because Apple didn't have Nintendo.
Well,
or its brands.
Here's the thing is that Apple doesn't make games, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Nintendo makes games for their platforms, and those are the killer apps, right?
Yeah.
So Apple comes out with the Apple TV, and all right, like, what big games are on it? It's sort of a shrug, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's up to developers to support that.
You remember they launched with some monkey rolling game? What was it called?
Monkey
What a
roll.
waste of potential.
Well, I think that's different. And like talking about iPhone gaming, that's completely different. But I'm talking about gaming on the TV, and like, why didn't Apple do this? I don't think Apple could have done this. Nintendo's really the only company that could have done it. I don't think you would see something like this, which honestly, I think the idea of making a portable console that uses a mobile processor and easily goes from TV to handheld is a pretty big gamble. And it's basically redoing the Wii U, but in reverse, where you can take the tablet with you, right? And it's just refining that core idea and ditching the second screen stuff, which just never took off. People were never interested in that. And Sony and Microsoft couldn't do it either. So Sony, Microsoft, Apple, whatever tech name you want to put in front of it, I don't think anybody could have done what Nintendo did with the Switch.
Well, my biggest concern moving forward for the platform is that we're already seeing too many releases every week, and we could well soon see it be just another kind of App Store ghetto if we're not careful. And I'm not talking about business models or anything. I'm just talking about like sheer volume of crap to AAA. There's a lot of bad games coming out very quickly on this device, and that's a little worrisome. Except,
to me, you look at the bestsellers list, and it's still packed with only quality games. That's true. Because mobile became a quote unquote wasteland for people. It was when even the bestseller chart, you couldn't be guaranteed you were going to be downloading a good game, right?
Yeah.
But on the Switch, it doesn't matter if a game launches for $2.99, $4.99, whatever. Like those games are not outselling the games that are full price and full featured and are really good. And I think
that's a great point.
Nintendo has done a good job with the news feed in promoting the right games, the quality games. Like the stuff that's sort of shovelware does not get promoted in those areas. And yeah, if you just look at the eShop and don't look at the news feed, and you only look at recent releases, it may seem like a lot of games are getting pushed off, but you know, you just have to look a little bit harder. And it's not to me, it's not like Xbox and PlayStation where a lot of smaller games get completely ignored in favor of AAA.
Yeah, I think Golf Story and Battle Chef Brigade probably would have died painful deaths if they were Xbox and PS4.
Yeah,
exclusive.
You're probably right.
Yeah,
and Never Stop Sneaking. Would that have done anything on PS4? No, I wouldn't have even noticed that if it came out on PS4. I wouldn't have it wouldn't have even crossed my radar.
Yep.
All right.
There we go.
Let's do this one from hacker alias Andy J145, who says, with Mario Odyssey and ARMS having achievements now, do you think with Switch Online coming out, Nintendo will integrate their own achievement system?
Probably not.
I think they will.
Of course not.
No,
I think they won't. There is no effing way that they will. I think they are going to leave achievements as something that is game specific. And I think they use them in good ways with Mario Odyssey and ARMS. I think the difficulty comes in creating a system-wide system that would be able to benefit every game in the way that the designers want, right? Which is why I think Nintendo has not done it.
I think it's coming. I think it'll be part of their online platform. I really do.
All right.
I would agree with CJ because I wonder if it's even worth doing at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, in-game achievements make sense, but an overarching system that everyone has to adhere to, I don't know that it's worth doing now. Is it worth? Does it have any effect on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One at this point?
I think there is an audience of people who are super hardcore about that stuff and have been for a long time.
But I would argue that audience has shrunk.
Oh, I would. Yeah, that audience has shrunk. But they are very vocal. I would say those are the people who are still complaining that the Switch does not have a
small yet vocal group on the internet.
Who knew? Imagine that. I mean, I don't miss achievements. I really on PS4 I don't even care.
And I that's so interesting because I loved them when they first came out.
Oh well, I mean, I was just going to say I say that full well knowing that if you go back and listen to
we were
years of Player One podcasts, we talked about them all the time.
We did.
Well, remember at Ziff, like if you could get a 360 or a PS3 version of a game, you'd choose the 360 one just because it had achievements.
Yeah, I mean that you're right. The achievements were that powerful back then.
Yeah,
they were. Yeah, not anymore though.
No.
Because you're going to get the Switch version even if you have the PS4 and Xbox version of something, right? I know I will.
Yeah, well, frankly,
Overwatch on Switch doesn't need achievements because I'll play it anyway.
You know what I would like a lot more, and this is what I was kind of always trying to use achievements for anyway, is I would love it if I could simply see in detail what people have done in the games I'm playing. Like if I could look at Stewart's account and see how many hours he's played Zelda, how many shrines he's completed, whether or not it's tied to any kind of numerical score, just getting a sense of how much he's played compared to me.
Yeah,
I think that's more interesting. And
I think that's more likely as well.
On Xbox, Microsoft has basically done that, where it really depends what each game has implemented, but they have basically that function. You can see those stats on Xbox Live, and some of those things are not even tied to achievements.
Right. That's interesting. I haven't dug deep into that at all. Would love to see how many people are playing PUBG for long periods of time then.
Well, I'm sure you can
I'd love to see some analytics for the Xbox version of PUBG.
Yeah. I have played over 100 hours of Splatoon 2.
Wow.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
I know. I know.
Surprised by that.
Yeah.
How many hours of Splatoon 2 have you played, Ethan?
More than 80. I know that for sure. I don't know if I've hit 90 yet. I know like Jeffrey Grubb spent 900 hours in PUBG on PC. So, some people are far more hardcore than that on certain multiplayer games. But
that's a lot.
And remember, that came out in March.
Yeah, in a game, after I get over 100 hours, I start to feel like I don't need to play this anymore. Like Zelda, I love Breath of the Wild, but after I got over 100 hours, I think I'm at 120. I kind of feel like I don't need to play it anymore, even though I really love the game.
Yep.
It's like eating cake, right? You can have a slice of cake and you keep eating it. You start to feel really bad. That's my 100-hour mark is too much cake. Yeah. All right. Let's do this one from Hacker Alias, Mr. Nelson, who says, back in November 2010 on episode 213, you advised a listener that having a retro game shop would never make money because old games were now available on digital download. In late 2017, do you see the retro bubble that did actually occur bursting anytime soon?
I see it moving a little bit, but not necessarily bursting. I still would say that owning a retro game shop would be a rough prospect unless you're in very specific areas. You need to be in really highly populated areas, I think.
Well, do you, if like say 80 or 90% of your actual business is online, which I would imagine like when we went to 4Js or similar places, that the literal majority of the money they made was online.
The problem with that, and I'm not saying that it's impossible to do, because obviously there are people out there that are doing it. There's some really nice retro game shops all over North America, but
sure.
I think the problem, especially with focusing online, everyone knows what everything's worth now.
Yeah.
Like you don't, it's really hard, at least I think it's really hard to come across deals, right? Because of that retro gaming bubble right now, everybody has a general sense of what something's worth, and they're a 10-second Google search away from finding out if they don't know. And everyone has a phone on them. So even if it's a physical sale, you're seconds away from knowing what this thing is actually worth. So to take that and run a business, which means that you'd have to have a certain level of markup involved. I don't know.
I'll say the biggest problem I've had, and looking again at the place that Phil and I used to go, which was called 4Js, nice people, good content. The place looked like a flea market. Right?
Yeah,
the vast majority of these places. Yeah. And so by contrast, when I got into import games, I went to a place that was called Cyberzone, and the guy who ran it made the store inside look absolutely beautiful. He'd wear a suit and tie every day, and you felt like you were going to some place that really was upscale and special. And that made a difference, Now,
Cyberzone. This guy who you are praising, you really need to mention that he ended up stealing. There was some. Was it a Dreamcast? Was it when the Dreamcast was coming out, when he was taking tons of orders for Japanese Dreamcasts and demanding that his customers pay for the system in full, and then one day he boarded up his shop and disappeared?
That's right.
That guy?
I heard about that.
Classic.
I never had that experience, but did you go in the store? Did you ever go
into the shop? Of course I went
into
the store.
What did you think? Wasn't it a great
He also tried
shop?
to shake us down for
Yeah, no, that guy was kind of a sleaze bag. I mean, CJ and I, we were working at Ziff Davis at the time, and CJ and I would make trips up there for Ziff related business, buying import games for the magazine and such. And he'd try and scam us several times, and eventually he stole thousands of dollars from his loyal customers and closed up his shop and no one ever heard from him again. So,
Yeah.
so
Well, I'm just
Exactly.
saying, when you do not make your place look like a flea market, it
Right.
definitely
it definitely
makes
goes
for
a
a
long
better
way in
experience.
offsetting being a criminal.
I
As long
didn't
as
bring
you-
that up at all. That's
as
your
long as
point,
you-
not mine.
Well, it's not really my point. It's what the guy did. I mean,
All right.
And you
guy
got to use
was-
a futuristic font for your shop too.
this
That
guy
helps.
was a
Yeah.
criminal, is what he was.
Mm.
He
Right.
had a nice looking
I-
store, but he was a criminal. He was a thief. He stole thousands
All right.
of dollars
But
from
he
his
wore
loyal
suits.
customers. But he wore a suit. And really,
Right.
that's
Well,
the important part.
I did buy a lot of games there though because you didn't have to get them through the mail or
But
anything.
Oh,
okay,
yeah, yeah.
for although listen, I'm as much as anyone, I love making fun of Ethan, but he's right. I mean, one of the biggest problems with the retro stores you go into now is that they look like shitholes.
That's
Yeah.
true.
They really do. They look like somebody cleaned out their basement and just tossed it into a room. And it generally smells bad and like so, that is a problem for
It's like a
sure.
pawn
It doesn't
shop.
help. Yeah, it really does.
Slightly better.
It really
Yes.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still think it's a bad idea to open a retro game shop.
I would not. do that.
I wouldn't advise.
And I say that fully dying to be able to do that. I would love to make my living doing that.
Me too.
Oh, yeah,
Me
but
too.
at the same time,
Yeah.
Yeah. It just seems like
Well,
a really, really
and I've thought about in retirement doing that, provided I know that I will be slowly losing, my savings every year by
that's
doing
just
it.
Yeah.
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 Crazy
But,
respect for people who manage to make a living doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, if anything, I would want to do it for the same reason, say Kevin Smith opened up a comic book shop, right?
Right. Yeah, it's just a passion.
Like
For
just
for
to do something.
weed,
fun.
for weed money.
Yeah.
Well, let's close it out with this tweet
Yeah.
from hacker alias P.O. Rowe, who says, with 2017 being such a great year for games, does anyone on the podcast think 2018 will be as good? I think 2018 will be very average, especially for Nintendo and Microsoft.
I think 2018, I think Sony has the biggest potential to have a good year. I think Microsoft has a long way to go to have a good year. And I think Nintendo is holding a lot of information close to its chest.
Yeah. They got
But they do run the risk of, like, just as much as we just said, the major story of 2017 is the Switch and sort of the surprising level of success it's had. There's a really high risk of the major story of 2018 being the Switch becoming a clearinghouse for old games or Android ports.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and like you guys are saying, we're already starting to see that tide shift, and Nintendo needs to make sure they stay on top of that,
That's right.
because it could easily
What?
become that way.
And on the other side of it, I agree that Sony is going to give us a lot of great stuff this year. I hope that third parties have learned from what happened to EA and that they pull away from hyper aggressive monetization in AAA games. That's my biggest concern going into 2018, is that we'll see things hit that continue doing what Battlefront 2 wanted to do.
Don't fool yourself, though. Somebody will figure out where the acceptable level is, and that's where everyone's going to go.
Sure. So getting back to the question that was asked, I think 2018 is going to be awesome. Like, I think Nintendo has a lot of cards played that they're playing close to their chest. I think they have a lot of developers that work on games for them that we haven't heard anything from, and we could very well hear from those people in 2018. And that's going to be awesome. I mean, when 2017 started, we didn't know that we were getting almost any of those Switch games, right?
Right.
And
We knew Zelda, really.
we didn't know that a new Metroid, right, quote unquote, new Metroid was coming.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Nintendo is sort of a question mark. I think if they do have a Nintendo Direct in January, that will be where they set the tone for the rest of the year. I think Sony is really well positioned to have a great year if they're able to hit all of the dates or all of the games that they have been promoting for the past 2 or 3 years. If those actually come out, in 2018, that'll be fantastic.
Yep.
Especially Spider-Man and God of War. Like that, those will be great.
My guess also is that the game of the year next year is probably going to be Red Dead Redemption 2. That's the single biggest thing that I'm looking most forward to.
Well, I mean, there's that. There's Far Cry 5. There's like a lot of big games that are on the list that could be great.
2018 is going to be amazing because of the Bayonetta trilogy.
Well,
Bayonetta looks incredible.
That's
3 is coming out in 2019, right?
Is it?
I thought they said 2019.
I don't think they said any date.
Okay, maybe not, but
I don't know.
All I know are 2 Bayonetta games on Switch.
We're getting some Bayonetta, which makes me happy.
Yep.
Yeah, and then Microsoft, I mean, I think they have potential there, right? I mean, Crackdown and Sea of Thieves could surprise us. I heard a lot of great comments about the Sea of Thieves alpha that happened this past weekend. And,
good.
Yeah, I'm interested in that game. I saw they posted a video which actually described the progression in Sea of Thieves, and it was the first time I'd ever heard someone
progression.
Yeah, someone talk about the reason to keep playing this game, right? So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that that'll be good. So yeah, I think it'll be awesome. And plus, we have all these games, like maybe even Mario Odyssey, that'll get new content in 2018, and that'll be awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
2018.
Well, and I think
it's going to be great.
You're going to probably see Smash Brothers and Animal Crossing and Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like we're going to see some bigger titles, and they have to do that. That's kind of the point I was making, is they have to do that. They played 2017 almost perfectly as far as releases went.
And remind me, I know that
it'll be hard to do that again next year, but
I know that they announced that the next Pokemon game is coming to Switch, but did they say it was 2018 or 2019? Did they say anything?
Say anything.
Okay, okay. So that's probably 2019.
Don't look at me.
Who knows? But it'll be good when it gets there, right?
Yep.
Don't look at me. I'm not saying anything.
All right. Is that it? That's a show?
Hey, before we end, we should say happy 30th birthday to Mega Man. It's actually today.
Oh my gosh.
Holy crap.
Phil didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Man.
The Blue Bomber turns
December
30.
17th. December 17th.
There you go.
Okay.
Yep.
There we go. He's not a real person, Greg. That's the thing.
Isn't he?
No, he's not real. He's just a video game, dude.
Man, that's mean.
Well, I'm just saying.
Despite the fact that we're recording on a Sunday, every single person at Capcom all bowing deeply down in unity to Inafune-san right now.
There you go.
Oh boy.
Got a Mega Man sprite there.
How could you say that about him, Phil?
Huh?
How could you
there
say
he
that
is.
about him?
There he's real.
My little buddy.
He looks ghostly white, though.
He does look ghostly white.
Yeah,
Like
the pixel pals. Yeah, there we go. When they're lit up, they don't show up on camera.
Actually,
very well.
yeah, I know, but they do look really nice. And
they look great in person.
Yeah,
in person they look beautiful. But yeah, they don't show up on our cameras very well. Yeah. You should, Greg.
Yes.
Why is he not at the top of your tree?
Because he would fall off.
Got to get a mount.
Plus, Sonic is up there.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Is there a mount for them? Seriously?
No,
okay.
But it would be awesome.
3D,
That'd be
3D
so
printer's
cool.
one.
Yeah, because I have one of those.
Get a 3D printer.
Step one. Get
Yeah.
3D printer.
Step one.
You can make just about anything with those things.
Yeah.
Oh. There you go.
Alrighty, and that is our show for this week. Thank you very much for listening. If you have a question for us or would like to comment on something you heard, you can direct that to @P1 Podcast on the Twitters, or you can go to our internet website at player1podcast.com. There you'll find our contact information. You'll find blog entries about Sega CD from Mr. Greg Stewart.
Be sure to check out the latest one.
Yep. And Generation 16 episodes.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the next one. I've been doing about one a month, and I'm trying to get the next one done, but I feel like Christmas is coming up a bit too fast, so I think maybe there won't be a new one until January.
All right. You will find show notes for this and every episode where we link to the important stuff that we talked about. So, yeah.
Plus everything Ethan said.
And, yep. And
that's mean.
yikes. And yeah, we have a message board where you can discuss this episode with us and our other listeners.
If you'd like to subscribe to the Player One Podcast, you can do so by visiting playeronepodcast.com or by going to Apple Podcasts. And adding us there.
Good job.
Why not?
You can also head over to the iTunes Music Store or the App Store, I guess.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Whatever they call it these days, and find the Player One Podcast iPhone application. Gives you one-touch communication with us via the emails, the Twitters, the what have you, for the low price of $1.99.
Cheap.
You can and see. I gotta rewrite a script or something.
Man,
You're
because
just not.
whole,
this
whole like
embarrassing.
You were all like,
you
were all like, oh, you got to start saying the Apple Podcast. You can't call it the iTunes Music Store anymore.
You sound just like CJ.
Yeah. Yeah. And hey, Android cell phone telephone users, the Player One Podcast iPhone application is available for free-listen devices as well for that same $1.99.
Also cheap.
You can find that right over there at the Amazon Android Marketplace or else on Stitcher Radio. You can like us on Facebook. You can check out archives of our show and watch us live most weeks on the youtubes.com/P1 podcast. And if you've liked what you've heard, and how could you could head over to patreon.com/P1 podcast. Throw a few shekels our way, and they
revised. They backed away from their change.
Yeah. CJ, I'm going to let you talk about this because you really understand the mechanics behind Patreon.
I do. I understand it all.
Yeah. Mess up this discussion. Tell us the wrong information about this.
No problem. Yeah, you can donate for as little as $1, and all backing is fully appreciated.
There you go.
Yes, it is.
We appreciate all of our listeners, however they would like to support us, whether it be financially or just telling somebody else about the show.
Yeah, go out into the streets and just start screaming, Player One Podcast!
That's right.
Or, you know what, you could go to teespring.com/P1 Podcast and pick up a beautiful Player One Podcast t-shirt.
Or mug.
Or mug. But I can't wear a mug.
True.
But I can. I just have to dangle it precariously.
Yeah.
From
the mug or the
from my pinky.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Ethan sounded a little too wistful there.
The good old days.
Hey, and if you have a couple bucks left over, you can head over to generation-16.com. Toss a few bucks in support of Greg Stewart's outstanding web series about North America's favorite runner-up, the Sega Genesis.
Thanks, Phil.
Yeah, January. Look
I
forward
think
to a new
probably maybe the last week of December, but I think that's a tall order at this point.
Okay, well.
Okay.
See what you can do. Because those are good times.
Thanks, man.
Yes. CJ.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Phil.
For
joining us.
For joining us. For that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Gregory.
Yo.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Phil. And I also just want to say, since this is the second last show of the year, I want to give another huge shout out and thank you to everyone who donated to Patreon too. But everyone who donated to Extra Life this year, I actually hit the $8,000 mark today.
Nice.
Thanks in large part to Michael Nelson, who is actually in the chat right now. He was the donor that put me over the top. So yeah, $8,000 raised for sick children. That's awesome. Incredible, everybody. And thank you so much for your support this year.
You know what, Greg? I'm going to go so far as to say we should thank the Extra Life donors more than the Patreon donors.
Absolutely.
Because you know what? Sick kids are cooler than we are.
Just a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Absolutely.
More deserving.
So, again,
cooler people.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
That's awesome. So
over 10,000 next year. We're going to do it.
You can do it. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Very cool. And Ethan.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of cool,
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you, and thank you for calling me cool. I appreciate that.
beautiful.
That'll get me through the whole week.
There you go. You're you know what? You're a one righteous dude.
That'll get me through 2 weeks. That's great. Thank you.
I dare say. So there we go. What'd you get the kids for Christmas there, Ethan? Can you say?
Say it out loud here.
Can't say it out loud
No.
here? Okay.
The house is too small.
Okay. Get them a bigger house for Christmas.
What's the one thing you think I would be likely to get my son?
A Switch. You got him a Switch.
Maybe so.
Jeez Louise.
My project at the beginning of January is going to be to go back and re-listen to all the episodes, just the What You've Been Playing episode, that part of the episodes for the year, and figure out how much Ethan spent. Not necessarily on games, but on Switch games and systems this year, because I want to say that number is frightening.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Are you still buying like all the games for it?
No, you can't keep up with
do
that.
at this
No,
point.
you can't.
Well, he could because he's nuts.
Nope. I am not. I'm not keeping up with that.
Okay. Not all the physical. I mean, I can understand.
Finally had to
Did you
talk
know?
with the wife, did you?
She finally
No,
had to talk with him.
Finally looked at
I
the
don't
credit card
trade-
bill.
I don't trade any of the games that I get. But yeah, the reason for that though, as much as anything, is just if you have a number of those machines in the house, it's nice for people to be able to play a big library. But yeah, I'm not trying to get everything. No.
Okay.
Yeah, probably when the Switch started and it didn't seem like there were going to be all that many physical releases, it might have been a fine idea. But now it's getting a lot more. So
Wow.
anyway,
Okay. Well, I guess we'll see everyone next week.
Let's do it.
sounds good.
Okay. Next
Yep.
next week. Oh my gosh! Next week's going to be our big Christmas Eve show.
Yeah, that'll
Didn't
be
even think about
published
that.
on Boxing Day here in Canada,
Yeah.
which means I sure hope that you heard a Christmas Carol at the beginning of this episode, but I don't know.
You might not have.
I don't know. And if you didn't and you're upset about that, send all hate mail to CJ.
Nope.
His fault.
It's not. It is not. It is not.
Oh man.
If there wasn't one on the front end, there will be some kind of Christmas tune on the back end.
Oh really?
What's going on with your back end?
Exactly.
He's got a Christmas tune there.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Go shove a candy cane up your butt. 'Cause
Wow.
that's what CJ's talking about.
Goodbye.
Bye.